Come on now, fellas! We've got to answer the bell. Now let's go!
Hold on one second.
Welcome into our Wednesday edition of Main Street Sports Today. I'm Maurice Patton. Chris Yao is going to join us on the fly. Justin, are we in? Are we good?
Yes, sir. Sorry about that.
Okay. All right, good. Like I said, Chris Yao is going to join us on the fly. He has some commitments besides the show that he's taking care of today. But big show this Wednesday. It's Wild and Wacky Wednesday, and it's starting out that way because right off the top, we are joined as we continue our college football previews and our Southeastern Conference team-by-team previews. We are joined by Vanderbilt third-year coach Clark Lee. And Justin, is there anything we can do about that? Hello? Clark, can you hear me?
I got you loud and clear.
Man, I appreciate you taking some time with us this afternoon, and we're going to try to work some of this stuff out as best we can. Right off the top, Clark, you did an interview this morning on Sirius that kind of stole some of my thunder. You guys opened this weekend against Hawaii, and I wanted to get into that and just kind of ask you from a different framework from what you talked about there. But getting into game week this week, does that kind of add an edge to your preseason, to this week's practices from the standpoint that your guys are actually working toward an opponent this weekend?
Yeah, I think the guys are just excited. So, I sense the energy. You worry sometimes as a coach, and I guess, we kind of get it wrong because training camp's so important to us, but you worry that there's a little bit of fall off there as you start scout teams and look teams and the likes. And you're also teaching high school players, like guys that just entered the program, how to serve in those roles on offense and defensive special team scout look. But we haven't missed a beat that way. I've been really pleased with how we've kind of launched into game week. Guys are ready. I mean, they want to play. I think, the name of the game in week 0 in college football is how adept are you at adjusting and moving on the fly, because, we're going to learn a lot on the go about our opponent and a lot about us, but the energy level's there, the intention's there. And this week has been really purposeful from a practice standpoint.
As you actually get ready for an opponent, and being the only Southeastern Conference team playing this weekend, the spotlight to some degree is on you guys this week. And I don't know how much you think about that, but how big a deal is that for you guys?
Mo, we don't think about it at all. I noticed that there's a lot of interest in the game because, again, we're being talked about and covered because it's week 0. But as far as our energy goes, we don't put any on that. For us, it's just about starting the way that we want to start in our season, and that's important to us. And more than anything else, I want the guys to go out and play well. I want to see our identity on display. I want to see the toughness and the effort that we've grown into over the course of 8 months of preparation. We get 12 climbs on our schedule, and we're fighting for more. So this weekend becomes an important first climb where, we're not going to be perfect, but I just hope we represent ourselves in the way that we built our identity through the course of winter, spring, summer, and training camp. And then also, I'm excited for our playmakers to get out there and have fun doing what they love to do, and that's competing and making the plays. And so, like I said, we'll the attention, the week 0 element of it, to us, it doesn't matter. Whenever they schedule the games and wherever they schedule the games, we'll show up ready to play.
You talk about those 12 climbs, Clark, and you talked about your playmakers. Obviously, one of those playmakers for you is your quarterback, A.J. Swan. And with college football having become what it's become, it's a quarterback-driven sport, clearly. You've got your QB1 with A.J. I don't want to ask you if you're surprised, but what does it mean to this program to have a proven number 2 guy at that position when so many guys are so quick to go someplace else and find someplace they can play? How big is it to still have Ken? I just lost his name, Coach. I'm sorry. Ken in your quarterback room.
Seals.
Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. No, listen, I've said this many times, and I'll take the opportunity to say it again. I've got just so much respect for Ken. And, we believe that humans are motivated only by a few things. And one of which is actually human to human connection, the connection of the spirit, the belief in one another. And, I think Ken, what he's experienced here with our staff and with the way this program's growing, he wants to be a part of it, and he's enjoyed being a part of it. And he is an insane competitor. He's very prideful. He obviously wants to be counted upon and depended upon in big moments. I mean, he wants to be out there, but yet he sees, again, how special what we've started here is. And he also sees his place and his belonging within it. And that's what's kept him here. He keeps getting better. He at some point this year is going to be out there for us. It's inevitable. And we have the utmost confidence in him. And certainly on a personal level, I'm glad to have him in the program for another year because, again, I enjoy being around him and have a ton of respect for him as a competitor and as a person.
Yes. Back to AJ. From year 1 to year 2, what have you seen from him over this offseason that makes you feel good about him as you head into Hawaii and this season?
I'm muted here. Okay, there we go. I think the biggest thing, the typical sophomore slump, I think a lot of times that has to do with a sense of entitlement or a sense of comfort, and what I've seen in AJ, and obviously Joey Lynch is a part of this too, but that they're never allowing there to be complacency. AJ's a competitor. He wants to be really good for this team. He wants to be really good in his role. And so he's kept pushing forward. It's important that he, stays humble and hungry, and it's not going to be perfect. So he's got to stay focused and make sure that he's not worried about making the spectacular play, but making the routine play within the offense. I really feel like his development has been mastery of the offensive system, and his ability to make adjustments at the line of scrimmage to put our offense in good positions and get us out of bad plays. And in so many ways, because of the evolution of our roster, we feel like we've surrounded him with capable people. He's got a good offensive line. He's got skill around him that he can facilitate performance just by being really consistent in his role. And that's what he needs to focus on doing. The rest, the big plays will come. We know he can make those. But certainly we want him to go out there and execute in his role and, again, facilitate, make the other 10 players on the field better.
Vanderbilt football coach Clark Lee joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Clark, as you talk about the offense with AJ, obviously Will Shepherd is a big part of whatever you guys are going to do on the other end.
Yeah, Will is obviously a proven commodity here. I mean, he's been making plays in this league for a couple years now. One of the really cool things for me this camp has been to witness him improve. He had room for growth, and he knew that coming back. But as far as his ability to win the line down the field, to battle for contested catches, to draw pass interference calls by being physical, he's a great big-bodied conversion machine. Like 3rd and 5, 4th and 3, you can bang a slant to him without any hesitation. But we want to see him also making big plays down the field because he's a big target. And I've seen a lot of advancement that way for him. And, we'll be excited to get him out there and then surround him with some other guys. I think one of the concerns you have when you have a standout receiver is that teams pretty quickly will know who they need to double. We feel like we've put some other guys on the field this camp and this season that are going to create some problems for teams that just try to focus on Will.
Besides Will, what else does that receiving core look like for you?
Quincy Skinner's back. Quincy, flashed for us last year, had a couple of really big moments in the South Carolina game, and then the big conversion on 4th and 11 in the Kentucky game. He's a physical, tough, capable playmaker. Gamarion Carter, another one. He took the hitch 80 yards against Missouri to put us within one possession there at the end of the game. We expect Gamarion to have a big fall. Obviously, Jaden McGowan, a true freshman last year, that really had a nice year for us in the slot. He's back and has improved his skill set, and we know a little more about what he offers and are using him in a way that really displays his versatility. And then we have two true freshmen that will be out there for us, and London Humphreys and Junior Sherrill, both local products that have really been impressive since the summertime. And so we're excited to have them out there. And over the course of the season, it's going to be about how do we put each of those guys in positions to be successful and help us, again, facilitate a productive and explosive offense. But we know we have skill to do it. It's now about how we position them as coaches to get the most out of them.
Yeah, you talk London and Junior, coach, and again, they'll both being local guys. London from CPA, Junior from Lipscomb. You being a local guy yourself, how big is that to be able to keep those guys at home?
That's ultimately the design of the program is that we show people here locally that they don't need to go anywhere else. And sometimes that's our hardest challenge, Mo, because we're trying to overcome perception and what the history tells people about this program. And for us, it's about creating the energy and when we get a chance to host people and show them around is demonstrating the plan and the process that's going to take us to one of the top teams in this league. And certainly that has to do with facility builds and all that kind of stuff. But more important to us is, again, it comes down to the relationships, how you're going to be invested in, the design of the program to be developmental. And over time, it's our focus internally on what we control here that'll manifest in external validation. That's not what we're after, but certainly as our Middle Tennessee community really starts to take a look and appreciate what we're building here, we expect, that we're going to travel a lot closer to home when it comes to recruiting. There's a lot of talented players here locally, and we're excited that we've had a few already sign up here early in as visionaries for what we're building. we'll be looking to add to that as we move forward, and hopefully over time, you're looking at a roster made up of Middle Tennessee kids.
And that's a tough balance, I would think, because a lot of times kids just want to go away. When they've been in one place all their lives, they want to do something different. But at the same time, when you can show them guys that have stayed here, like yourself, like some of these other guys that have been successful, I would imagine that certainly helps in your battle.
Well, our ultimate sell is that here you are in your hometown, fighting for your hometown, in the SEC, playing against the best competition and winning. That's an important part of it too. Beyond that, you got a top 15 education. So right there, you're one of one in the country. And if you come to a scrimmage and you hear Junior's family, or you see London's family, or the Patterson brothers, who obviously roll thick when they come, when it comes to scrimmage time. I'll see parents out at practice. I mean, the fact that your family can be so involved in your experience is a special aspect of this. And certainly what's fun for me is when, just this is my experience here too, you create a world in and of itself here at Vanderbilt. It's not like you feel like you're in your hometown. This is a different place, and you'll feel like you're apart from home. And then when you need home, it's right down the road. It's a beautiful combination. But certainly to me, having family and parents and friends around for game day and for scrimmages, and showing up at practices and showing support at team events, having your teammates over to your home, and the nature of the connection that builds, that's a really special thing. And I know the guys that are local that have stayed here see that and sense that. And again, that'll be a powerful part of the spirit and energy of our program, moving forward too.
Yeah, defensively, Clark, that's where you've built your coaching career. What do you like about this defense you've been able to put together this year at Vanderbilt?
Well, we have to play better this year, and we have the people to do it. I see a group that has grown in the system. After the first year, we had a turnover at the coordinator position, and that was challenging. I mean, one of the things early on that was important to me was retention of staff. And obviously, I control a lot of things, but I don't control everything. And so, we have to be resilient when it comes to changing of personnel in the building. Obviously, now we're 2 years with pretty much the staff in place, and defensively, that's a huge advantage. There's no new language needed to be learned. There's depth of relationship that's been built through adversity. People know each other better. And so to me, the spirit of defense is about how hard are you willing to play. And when it comes to how hard you're willing to play, it's your ability to put purpose over pain. And obviously beyond that, we want to be a structured and technically proficient group. And we've now, for 2 years, put time and effort into that. And as I've gotten better in my role, I've been able to assist more on that side, and that's something that's fun for me. But certainly, we have to, put concept to action this fall, and we need to perform better. Our 2 SEC wins a year ago, I thought that side of the ball held up their end of the bargain and made some big plays for us. They're capable, and we have good players over there. I mean, you talk about DeRicky Wright and Jalen Mahoney and CJ Taylor. Our defensive line that's come a long way, and that's poised to really, I think, make a huge stride forward this fall. We have the people. Now it's about, again, the paying attention to the things that matter, and anticipating and executing on Saturday. I'll be excited to watch those guys go at it.
Clark Lee of the Vanderbilt Commodores joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. They get their season started a little ahead of everybody else. 6:30 kickoff on Saturday at First Bank Stadium against Hawaii. Back-to-back home games. They're back over Labor Day weekend against Alabama A&M. That's a 6 o'clock kick. And Clark, I know that the stadium situation has drawn a lot of attention, and I'm sure that you guys are trying to shut that noise out. But how much of a distraction is that for y'all?
all these kind of conversations, it just, it comes down to the fact that it's time to play football. I think people want to create stories and draw attention to things that really aren't that big of a deal. I mean, look, I'm looking out my window right now. We're under construction and there's progress being made, and we're not going to complain about the fact that there's subtle inconveniences to that. But the playing surface looks great. There's 120 yards out there. There's 2 goalposts. There's going to be a scoreboard up, and you're going to be able to sit inside the progress and get a feel and kind of paint the vision in your mind of where this thing's headed. It's going to be an incredible environment when it's all done. But in the end, any inconvenience that happens through the course of this construction is minor. We're going to play a game. We're going to play a number of games there. It'll be a lot of fun, and I think each one will be a celebration as far as the future of our program, the future of the physical spaces of Vanderbilt football. And to me, I'm all in on that.
All in is Clark Lee, Vanderbilt football coach. And Clark, can't thank you enough for taking some time with us here this afternoon on Main Street Sports today.
I'm happy to do it, and I appreciate being with you, Mo. We go back so long, man. I'm glad to get a chance to hang out here with you on the air.
Absolutely. And I hate that I didn't get to ask you about your backup catcher role with the Nashville Sounds, but we will get into that in another visit. But thanks and good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Mo. You take good care. We'll see you.
All right, we'll talk. We're going to take a break, try to figure out some technical stuff, and when we come back, we hope to have Heather Williams as we talk a little NASCAR here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Did you know that up to 80% of us will experience back or neck pain during our lifetime? Many of you are offered surgery or addictive pain pills to relieve your chronic pain. At the Dr. Gill's Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief, we have been leading the way to better health, naturally, and have helped tens of thousands of people right here in Middle Tennessee for the past 30 years.
I came to Dr. Gill about 10 years ago after my local doctors recommended surgery. I knew about Dr. Gill and wanted to see if he could help me. 10 years later, I am pain-free, no surgery, and no pain pills.
Surgery is scary, and over 40% of all back surgeries fail, creating a cycle of surgery and pills. There is a safer solution to your chronic pain. Make the call to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief today and get your life back. This office visit is normally $299, but call today and receive your initial consultation, report of finding for just $49. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call 615-768-8743. That's 615-768-8743.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net. Welcome back to the Wild and Wacky Wednesday edition of Main Street Sports Today. I'm Maurice Patton. Chris Yao is tending to some technical issues. He'll be with us in a second. We're going to continue to try to keep the show moving as we've got our NASCAR analyst, Heather Williams, joining us. Heather.
Hey, Mo.
Hey, what's up?
Well, forever. So if Chris doesn't make it back, I could just help you fill this time. It's all good.
Well, it's we are definitely a work in progress this Wednesday, but tell us about William Byron and Watkins Glen.
Well, it was a really big race for William. I don't think that a lot of people necessarily saw that coming. Obviously, they're leading the series in wins. So the fact that Williams running well isn't that much of a surprise, but he's not necessarily known as like a road course kind of guy. So for him to come out there and just dominate says a couple of things. First of all, that team is clicking on all cylinders right now and is the top Hendrick Motorsports team in the garage right now. I think him and Kyle are way ahead of the other two. And we can certainly talk about the troubles of the fact that Chase Elliott or Alex Bowman, one, are not going to make the playoffs, maybe both of them, which is unheard of for Hendrick Motorsports. But also, I think the fact that he dominated that race also just kind of speaks to the fact that the next gen car is still having trouble on the road courses and the shorter tracks. Passing was extremely difficult. Gaining positions once you got back to about 15th place was hard. So if you fell in the top 15, you could get back up to about 15th place, and then moving forward was very difficult. So there's still some work to be done there with the next gen car for sure. But good on William. He's a guy that has shown tons of flashes of potential, but they've never been able to put together a full season. This year, they're starting to put together a full season. So we'll see what happens, how he handles the pressure of being the lead dog at Hendrick, because that's not an easy position to be in. And he's the guy right now. He's the man.
You mentioned some folks are going to be on the outside looking in at the playoffs that start in 2 weeks after Daytona this weekend. But a couple of folks had to breathe pretty easy, I guess, with Byron's win and being his 5th of the year. That meant that a couple of folks that are in the mix have a better chance of being in the mix for the playoffs.
Yeah, those guys that were in on points is exactly what they wanted. They wanted somebody who had already won to win, and William Byron obliged them. The win by Byron locked in Brad Keselowski as well as Kevin Harvick, so those guys are in. There's one playoff position available. And it's pretty much Bubba Wallace's to take or to lose. He's got a pretty significant lead over 17th place. He's an outstanding road course or a super speedway racer. And as long as there's not a new winner, or if one of the new winners is not playoff eligible, say if Josh Berry was to win, or Austin Hill, I think, is in the race, someone along those lines, Chandler Smith, then that belongs to Bubba. So, it puts the 23 in a pretty interesting position because he's points racing, but he's also racing for a win, which is very difficult to do at Daytona. But he's one of the best super speedway racers in the field, so it will be good for him. He'll take this over the alternative. If someone else had won last week, he would have had to have won. He can kind of play a couple different strategies and see how his day goes on Saturday night. So I think the biggest surprise is the fact that one or two Hendrick Motorsports teams are not going to make the playoffs, and who those one or two are. Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman both suffered from injuries during the regular season, and then they also suffered from penalties, and then Chase was also suspended for a week. So, all those things have really hurt them and hurt their ability to be able to make the playoffs, to be in a better position to get into the playoffs. So Hendrick Motorsports, I don't remember a time where they didn't have all 4 of their teams, or at least 3 of their 4 teams in the playoffs. And here we are. They can only have 2. They could only have William Byron and Chase and Kyle Larson, which is kind of strange, but it's the next gen world that we live in NASCAR right now.
Heather Williams, our NASCAR analyst, joining us here on Main Street Sports today, as she does every Wednesday. And Heather, we are going to do something really unorthodox right now, because this is an unorthodox day. We're going to take a quick break and bring you back if you can stay through it, because we got to get some stuff figured out here real quick. So
okay. Yeah, sounds good.
If you can do that, we are going to take a break here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, and come back to you here in just a second.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today.
Did you know that up to 80% of us will experience back or neck pain during our lifetime? Many of you are offered surgery or addictive pain pills to relieve your chronic pain. At the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief, we have been leading the way to better health, naturally, and have helped tens of thousands of people right here in Middle Tennessee for the past 30 years.
I came to Dr. Gill about 10 years ago after my local doctors recommended surgery. I knew about Dr. Gill and wanted to see if he could help me. 10 years later, I am pain-free, no surgery, and no pain pills.
Surgery is scary, and over 40% of all back surgeries fail, creating a cycle of surgery and pills. There is a safer solution to your chronic pain. Make the call to the Dr. Gill Center for Back, Neck, Chronic Pain Relief today and get your life back. This office visit is normally $299, but call today and receive your initial consultation, report of finding for just $49. But hurry, this offer won't last long. Call 615-768-8743. That's 615-768-8743.
You can't see the sights without the sounds. From the crack of the bat to the roar of the crowd and everything in between, discover what Hit City has to offer. Spend your nights cheering on the Nashville Sounds at First Horizon Park with giveaways, fireworks shows, theme weekends, and more. Single game tickets are on sale now. Visit NashvilleSounds.com to claim your seat today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back, Chris. I actually literally had to change hats on my way here. I was wearing one hat and had to change into another because I wear so many hats at Main Street Media. But I was rushing to get back to talk to Heather because obviously NASCAR is one of my favorite things that we talk about. And
well, not only is NASCAR one of our favorite things, but Heather's one of our favorite people. I'd hate for you to have missed that. I hate that you missed Clark Lee, but.
Well, at least I get to hear it.
Yeah.
Most of it anyway. Thanks to Justin doing his magic on that end. Heather, are you there?
I'm still here.
Yes, she
Thank
can
you.
hear us. We're not talking to ourselves. That was
can hear-
fantastic.
she can hear us, and she didn't just throw up her hands and say, "Forget it." So yeah,
Girl,
yeah.
thank you.
We've all been there. We've all been there. And the
Okay.
amount of tap dancing I've done in my life on live TV, I mean, I feel you.
That was something.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we were able to look. This just makes it. You never know what you're going to get here on Main Street Sports today. And sometimes it's a circus, and
sometimes you have to punt on third down.
just to make sure in case you missed the snap or something.
Now, I was willing to just keep talking, by the way. I could have.
You know what? You could have carried the segment. There's no question in my mind.
Well, not only could she have, but she would have had to. So, yeah. I mean, I know when I'm overmatched, and NASCAR is typically it. But I do know that, again, the final race of the regular season is coming up this weekend, the Coke Zero Sugar 400 down at Daytona. And again, there's basically one playoff spot left?
One spot. That's all that's left.
So should be a look. The fact is that as long as a new winner doesn't win and Bubba finishes the race, he's probably going to be in the playoffs. But he must be hoping that some of that number one luck from Luke Combs rubs off, as he's going to be riding in a Luke Combs wrapped.
You like that, didn't you?
23. Chris? Oh, I'm pumped. You talking about Bubba Wallace and Luke Combs in the same world? Yes, please.
It is a pretty good looking car. I'm not going to lie.
It is.
I don't listen to a lot of Luke Combs, but the car is sharp. And what I love about
he's hoping that he's got a fast car.
I'm guessing that's a song.
Wow.
Oh, he did the Tracy Chapman.
He did the Tracy Chapman thing. So fast.
Yeah. Heather,
eventually.
What is Bubba's approach to this race? Because as Chris said, as long as he finishes the race and there's not a first-time winner, he's probably good to go for the playoffs. Does he just try to go out and win it, or do you just hang back and try to keep your nose clean?
I think it's going to kind of depend on what they see early in the race. I think in the first stage, they'll really just try to stay out of trouble. Because the thing about Daytona is that you can race from the back to the front pretty quickly. So I think that their strategy is going to be in the first two stages, is that if they're out front or near the front, stay there. If they don't qualify well or they end up shuffled in the back, stay there, or just find some place where you can stay out of trouble and avoid the big wreck. And then, I think they're probably going to have to try to approach it as they're going to have to win, just because even though he is in the catbird seat, there are a lot of drivers out there that have the ability to win this race and are pretty good super speedway racers that need to win to get in. You look at it, Eric Jones, Eric Almirola, Ty Gibbs, Austin Dillon, who won this race to get into the playoffs last year. So, it's if you try a points race, it may end up blowing up in your face just because someone else may win. So I think that they're going to have to just try to stay out of trouble early on in the race, and then I think they will have to be aggressive in the final stage. And there is, as I was explaining to Mo, Chris, there is a scenario where a new winner could win and Bubba could get in. If this new winner is someone who's not playoff eligible. So Josh Berry, Chandler Smith, Austin Hill,
that's true.
One of those guys wins, then Bubba can still get into the playoffs. But I think, obviously the path of least resistance for him is just to go out there and try to win.
Just win, baby.
Al Davis. Heather, we've not asked you to pick a winner all year, but if you were looking at one of those first-time winners for this race, who would you be looking at, or who should Bubba be most concerned with, perhaps?
Well, I think the most dangerous car outside of the playoffs right now is Ty Gibbs. I think he's running the best of the non-playoff drivers right now, and I think he's very dangerous. But also, I think they have to keep your eye on those Hendrick cars, because Chevy is going to do everything they can. They have the most cars in the field, and they're going to have all of their affiliate cars, everybody working on getting those Hendrick cars in. Save the RCR cars, because they'll probably be trying to get Austin Dillon in, but everybody else will probably be working very closely with Chase and or Alex to try to get one of those two into the playoffs. So I think the 54, the 9, and the 48 are probably the most dangerous cars outside of Bubba. But, Bubba's just as good of a big super speedway racer as them. So, I mean, they are equally as concerned about him as he is about them.
Yeah. I mean, he's got just as good of a chance to win this thing as anybody.
I mean, if you and I had a car in there, we'd have just as good of a chance.
That's
true.
Mean,
it's Daytona.
It's Daytona. I mean, so and
speak for yourself.
And that's kind of the thing. I mean, as long as you know left from right, you should be. You got a shot, because this is one of those tracks where it's kind of let her rip, but again, you got to avoid the accidents. That's the main key. You got to stay out there. You have to be there when the checkered flag is down to have a shot.
Yeah, and there's fewer and fewer guys, because there were a lot of guys that really approached Daytona as just strictly a luck kind of thing, but it is a little bit more than luck. There is some skill when it comes to super speedway racing. Denny Hamlin's one of the best at it. And I think that's where Bubba learned a lot of his skill from, is driving from Denny, although he was pretty good at it before he went there, but he's really stepped up his game since he's been driving for Denny. And I think people have looked at the success of those two, of Austin Dillon, who really, I mean, not trying to be mean, but it's really one of the best chances he has all year to win. The success of a Michael McDowell, of a Corey LaJoie on those tracks, and decided we have to take this as more than just a luck game. We have to try to put some effort into it, because horsepower doesn't mean anything. Being in a Hendrick car is exactly the same as being in the Spire car at Daytona. So I think guys have put more effort into learning the technique of reading the draft and understanding the draft and the energy and the things that are necessary to avoid those wrecks. Now, if it happens right in front of you, at that point it is luck. But if you're 2 or 3 cars back, there are some things you can do proactively to avoid the accidents at Daytona.
All right, before we get you out of here, I'm not sure how much time you've had to work over the last 6 days, because I know you've been deep into the NASCAR Classics video archive, watching classic races.
Oh my gosh!
And it's like, how do I get anything done?
It's inspired her to work.
Yeah, just the coolest thing ever. I decided to start watching them in order.
Good
so
call.
I've been watching, since the very first race that they have on there, and just ticking my way through it. I'm still in the 50s right now, because I haven't had the chance to watch as much as I would like to. But I think we should still do races like this, because races were movies. I swear at least 2 or 3 of these were voiced by the same people that voiced the 10 Commandments. It's just marvelous. It's just phenomenal the way that the threat of a storm and just the whole thing of it is just so cool. And even if you're not a huge NASCAR fan, just go watch the first 2 or 3. Most of them, the early stuff, they're just little mini movies, so they're like newsreels, 7-8 minutes long, and just enjoy the history. Just the history of seeing how production was done of sports in the 1940s. It'll blow your mind.
I imagine too, Heather, one of the cool things to watch is the way the cars have evolved.
Oh, for sure, because they talk a lot about in the early things about how these are all strictly stock cars and nothing has been altered except for taking out the headlights and all of them. I mean, it's really just amazing. Like the evolution of the cars. I mean, they're not stock cars anymore. I mean, I guess they're stock and they're all the same, but they talk a lot about in the early things about how it has to be a car you can buy on the showroom floor and all this stuff. And so it's just fascinating to watch and listen. And it's all free. Like, you just go to the NASCAR website. There's a link there now, and off you go.
That's pretty cool.
It's the key word.
Yeah, free.
Yeah.
For free. Yeah. Little creditkarma.com or whatever that was. 1-800 free credit report.
Free. Yes.
Oh, Heather, thanks again for taking time and for being flexible with us. It's been a crazy day for all of us, but we're good to go, and we got a lot of NASCAR knowledge today. That's what we need to call it, NASCAR knowledge. It's
NASCAR knowledge with Heather. There we go.
I like it. So we'll talk to you again next week, and we'll have a full playoff field.
All right. Yeah. Sounds good, guys.
Thanks, Heather.
All right, we'll take a quick 1 minute break. And as we've probably taken 37 breaks to this point so we'll take a quick 1 minute break, come back, talk a little Braves. So stick around. Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joints. Back after this.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. She's on Thinking Out Loud, presented by Regions, and Out of Pocket with Alyssa Lang. It is, in fact, Alyssa Lang.
I'm a little nervous. I'm going to lower the bar for guests now.
Oh, no.
Apologies in advance. It sounds like
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey.
You got that radio voice.
I do.
It's a good sound.
Thanks for radio, too.
As do we. And then here's the other thing. You guys, you're spot on with the name. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. Everybody wants to be on Main Street. So,
and we reach every main street in Middle Tennessee, Coach?
Yeah, that's it. So
Perfect.
when you are on Main Street and you are moving,
you gotta love it.
Like you're moving. I was impressed.
I'm glad someone...
We're back here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint. When one thing goes right, something else goes wrong.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is wild and wacky.
It's
Wednesday,
wild and wacky
and it
Wednesday.
has been wild and wacky.
Well,
So,
we're here. We might as well talk some Braves. You wore your gear.
yeah, new gear.
New gear.
New gear.
You know, it's funny because I see that you still got stickers on under the underside of the hat, and I love that hat. Sarah almost bought that hat.
I
But
like the tomahawk. I didn't have anything with the tomahawk.
you know what the tomahawk does?
What's it do?
It makes it obvious what it's not.
Theoretically.
And the lowercase
We'll
a
see.
with the tomahawk,
Oh, yeah.
those are your two best options. But it's funny because as I was looking, Sarah bought a black Braves hat with a white A on it because she needed something black to wear with black clothes. So I usually hang my hats up in this certain place, like
you grab
the
her hat?
normal ones, the normal hats that I wear. They're all kind of hanging in the same place. I go to pick this one up and I realize there are 4 Braves caps hanging up. And I'm like, I need to take all of my Braves caps, line them up in a row and take a picture and make that like a cover photo.
There you
Cool
go.
cover photo. So I think I'm going to do that. But I was like, why do we have like a khaki hat and a blue hat and a white hat and a black hat and a regular navy with the red bill.
At least in your case, it's a we. Jody doesn't wear hats, so if it's a hat, it's mine.
It's yours.
Yeah.
Well, it was just I was like, man, that's a lot of hats.
And I've got a bunch, so.
Well,
kind of my vice, I guess.
There you go. That's me too. That's hats and watches are my 2 favorite things. So.
And I bet you never look. Well, you look at your watch because you get texts and everything on it. See, all I've got on mine is time, and I usually look at my phone. So,
well, I'll tell you what, we've got one thing we need to do before we get into that, and that is
August 23rd, 2021, Ronald Acuna Jr.'s 7th inning steal of second base was his 30th of the season, making him the 4th Brave to reach the 30-30 mark in franchise history. The 21-year-old joined Hank Aaron, Dale Murphy, and Ron Gant in achieving the feat. With Gant doing so in 90 and 91, it was Acuna's 130th game of the season, 19 fewer than it took Gant to do so in 91. Atlanta went on to defeat the host Mets 2-1 in 14 innings as Billy Hamilton singled to drive in Tyler Flowers with the game-winning run. That was this day in Braves history.
There you go. Another one-run win for the Braves last night over the Mets, 3-2. And
all of the runs were accounted for by
the long ball.
Well, by Marcell Ozuna and Eddie Rosario.
Yeah.
Rosario drove in Ozuna with a 2-run homer, and then Ozuna hit a solo shot. When you're getting that from 5 and 6, and Rosario now has 20 home runs.
That's right. The fastest to 20 by 7 players than anyone ever. Last to do it was the 19 Twins. And I've got a feeling that all of those are going to hit 25 at some point.
I think all of those are going to hit 25, and I think a couple more guys are going to get, I think Sean Murphy.
Murphy's at 20.
Murphy's at 20? Murphy may get 25 as well.
I think Murphy and Rosario both get to 25.
Okay.
I don't know who the other one is.
Maybe everybody else is already.
Is Arcia over 20?
No.
He's close though. He's like 15 or 16. So there's that. But and while you're looking that up, what I was most impressed with is, and I tweeted it last. Justin?
It says we're in the stream with audio only.
That would be good. We need audio. We have a video.
Okay,
there we are.
Okay, goodness gracious.
Now, you said 14 home runs for Arcia?
14 home runs for Arcia.
And then you were saying I said something?
You DM'd me something about the fact that all the starters not named Fried, Strider, Elder, or Morton are 25 and 17, which is a .595 winning percentage, which would be 4th in the National League.
Is it National League or was it?
Or is it in baseball?
It may be in baseball.
It might be in baseball.
Which is really that would be third, baseball? Tied for third in the majors.
Everybody not named Fried, Strider, Elder, Morton.
That's all the hodgepodge starters. Everybody. That's Soroka, Dylan Dodd, Jared Schuster, Alex Winans, any of the bullpen games that we threw early in the year.
That Kobe Allard,
Yanni Chirinos, which
all of those guys, 25 and 17.
How many? We came up with 15
we came up
or
with
something.
15.
So that's 11 starters that have come up with a 25 and 17 record. It's pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
The Atlanta Braves are tough to beat. It doesn't matter who's going to the bump.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, you want those guys. And I think, and those four were like, what, 7? That doesn't have the.
Overall, they were.
The 645.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that means that those 4 have a higher than 645 winning percentage. Is what that means.
That's exactly what that means.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
And trust me when I tell you, those are the 4 you're going to see in the postseason.
Oh, yes, those are the 4. And if they're winning 70% of the games that they start, folks, it's going to be tough to beat the Braves. That's all I'm going to say.
If you come at the Kings,
yeah, you better not miss. And so the Braves will likely be the Kings going into the postseason. Maybe not. I don't know. I guess the Dodgers are still there. We won't count them out.
No.
But yeah, what a great game last night from the new night shift, as I'm going to call them for now, and Braves getting ready for. Is it game 3 of a 4-game set? Because they're playing
game 3 of a 3-game set.
Okay, they're playing late, so I didn't know.
Yeah, it's 6:20 start. Jose Quintana 1-4 with a 3.03 ERA, starting for the Mets against Uncle Charlie. Have you seen the lineup?
I have. Acuna, Pilar, Riley, Olsen, Ozuna, Murphy, Harris, Arcia, Grissom.
Get ready for a lot of Grissom slander on your Twitter feed tonight.
Well, I mean, we know that his defense is not yet there, but his bat plays. And here's the thing. The defense as a whole in the infield isn't exactly, Ozzie Smith across the board.
They make most of the plays.
They make most of the plays that they need to make, and that's okay. I mean, I'm just curious about Pilar in the number 2 spot.
That's interesting. Instead of Harris.
Yeah, that was wild. Kevin Pilar in number 2, but sure, Snit, whatever you say, buddy. I mean, who am I to judge?
Well, you just sat here yesterday and said we don't care.
Clearly, they're just throwing stuff against the wall right now.
Seeing what sticks.
It is HBCU night at Truist Park, and you can get a HBCU majorette bobblehead.
That's interesting.
So, bobbleheads are always fun. Big bob. Oh, and tonight's the Hall of Fame broadcast.
Oh, yeah. The players only broadcast.
Smoltz, Glavine, Jones, and Frenchie.
Yeah, Gordon getting the night off.
While it would be fun to be in that booth as a play-by-play guy, probably more fun just to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Because you don't have to rein anybody in. You don't have to worry about play-by-play. You just let them do their thing.
Traffic cop.
Nope.
Just let them do their thing.
Let them go.
I do think that Brandon is a little envious of the spread that apparently is going to be there tonight.
Well, I mean,
they really throw it out for the ex-players.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. Gordon deserves everything and anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
FYI. So, before we get out of here, the White Sox are trying to do White Sox things.
This is interesting.
And apparently threatening a move. So.
And obviously, anybody that threatens to move invokes a certain name.
They do. I've not seen anything on this. Have you? Have you been seeing stuff White Sox to Nashville? Or
just in that one article.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
I didn't know if that was something that, I mean, Nashville is getting thrown up with everybody, and obviously, right. And the Oakland A's officially petitioned Major League Baseball to move today, actually. Submitted papers today to officially move to Las Vegas. So that vote's coming. The White Sox are now going, oh, yeah, what about us? Southside not working out so well. You know what? Sometimes, though, it's about it's a matter of put a better team on the field, and it don't matter where you play.
Funny how that works.
Isn't it? I mean, geez. So you come in here and start stinking immediately. Nashville ain't going to stick around either. We're not coming to watch
No.
crappy teams play. Just ask the Predators.
Yeah.
First half of last year.
Yeah.
How easy it was to get a ticket to Bridgestone versus 2 years ago.
Yeah, they're with you win or tie.
That's right. Exactly right. So anyway, I'm obviously hopeful that the White Sox stick it out in Chicago.
I don't know what that would be like. A, the White Sox somewhere else, or B, there not being two teams in Chicago.
Be weird.
That would be odd.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would. Let's take a break, another short one if we can, and come back here in just a moment with our rundown and top stories.
This is Chris Yao with Main Street Sports Today. Every show, Mo Patton and I welcome friends from all across the sports landscape, from high school coaches and reporters to national, college, and pro sports personalities. You never know who might stop by for a chat. AP Tennessee sports editor, three-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year 2020 TSWA Hall of Famer. She covers the Titans, the Predators, the Grizzlies, college football, and hoops. Please make welcome Teresa Walker.
Former University of Tennessee, former Team USA Olympian, ex-Cy Young Award winner, R.A. Dickey. R.A., did I miss anything?
Man, that was sweet. Yeah, I need to listen to that before I go to bed every night. That was nice.
Has 5 sports Emmys. That's not bad for the other guy in Wham, Ryan McGee.
The other guy in Wham married the best looking girl, Bananarama. So the other guy in Wham had a pretty good life.
From preps to pros, we're taking on the sports topics you care about. Tune in across Main Street Media social platforms at 2 p.m. or on demand on your podcast distribution platform of choice.
Welcome back into Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint here in the Lee Company studio in Columbia. Columbia. Good times. Mo, we got a lot to get to on the rundown, so we might as well jump right in and give you yesterday's results and today's schedule.
Here's the rundown.
Volleyball action from Tuesday. Providence Christian swept Columbia Academy 3-0. It was Harpeth Hall defeating Harpeth 3-2. Overton with a 3-0 win over Hunter's Lane. Loretto defeated Mount Pleasant 3-0. It was Middle Tennessee Christian 3, University School of Nashville 0. Murfreesboro Central with a 3-0 win over Giles County. Oakland 3, Siegel 0. Riverdale defeated Rockvale 3-2. Spring Hill down Shelbyville 3-0. It was Stewart's Creek 3, Lebanon 0. And Columbia Central 3, Tullahoma 0.
Girls soccer action. Blackman downs Smyrna 1-0. Brentwood Academy was a 6-0 winner over Nashville Christian. Columbia Central 1-0 over Coffee County. It was Hunters Lane and East Robertson in a 2-2 draw. Fairview downs Creekwood 8-1, and Franklin edges Page 1-0. Macon County was a 2-0 winner over Friendship Christian. Siegel 2-1 against Gallatin. Glencliff falls to Hume Fogg 13. I thought 9 was the...
Maybe not.
Okay. 13-0 is the reported score there. Portland was a 5-4 winner over Good Pasture. James Lawson 7-3 against Antioch. John Overton falls to Cane Ridge 2-1. Northwest was a 10-1 winner over Kenwood. Springfield and Kirkwood tie 1-1. It was Franklin County 3, Mount Juliet 2. Oakland 3-0 winners over Nolansville, while Cullioca down Richland 5-1. Spring Hill was a 5-2 winner over Shelbyville. Stewart's Creek 7-0 over Lebanon. Valor Collegiate downs University School of Nashville 7-0. Rockville and Warren County 1-1 draw, and Greenbrier 7-4 winners over Watertown.
Also, West Creek defeated White House Heritage 4-0, and it was Forest 8, Zion Christian 2. In Little League World Series action yesterday, as we told you here, Nolansville with a 2-1 elimination game victory over Henderson of Nevada. Major League Baseball action. We mentioned the Braves defeating the Mets 3-2. It was the Tigers 8, the Cubs 6. Pirates with a 6-3 win over St. Louis. The Astros defeated Boston 7-3. Milwaukee defeated the Twins 7-3. Cincinnati defeated the Angels 4-3, and it was the Marlins 3, Padres nothing. Sounds opened their 6-game series against Gwinnett with a 12-5 win down in Lawrenceville. In WNBA action, it was the Aces 112, the Dream 100 behind
a 50 point effort from Asia Wilson.
It's 53.
53.
Tied the WNBA record.
53. Don't want to short her.
No.
My bad. Connecticut Sun defeated the Washington Mystics 68-64. It was the Sky 102, the Storm 79, and the Lynx with a 91-86 win over the Wings.
Little League World Series action tonight, 6 p.m. It's Nolensville and El Segundo, California on ESPN. Volleyball action this afternoon or evening. White House Heritage is at Gallatin at 5 at 5:30. Pope Prep goes to Friendship Christian, and at 6, Siegel welcomes Page. Girls soccer action at 4:30 this afternoon. As far as I know, boy, that's tough. Hunters Lane at Glencliff and Independence Academy hosting Cane Ridge.
Major League Baseball action today.
I've got the scores right here.
These games are over. St. Louis at Pittsburgh.
Nope, bottom of the 6th.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. Okay, Chicago Cubs at Detroit.
Yeah, it's bottom of the 6th, 5-2 St. Louis right now. You said Chicago, Detroit, top of the 9th. Chicago 5, Detroit 4.
Okay, Minnesota and Milwaukee was a 110 start.
Top of the 7th, Minnesota 6, Milwaukee 5.
The Reds are playing a doubleheader at the Angels. First game started 5 minutes ago. Starting 2 minutes ago, the Marlins and the Padres. At 6:20, the Mets finish up their 3-game series at Truist Park against the Braves. 7:10 on TBS, you can see Boston at Houston.
The Sounds continue their series at Gwinnett at 6:05 tonight, and at 9 o'clock on CBS Sports Network, it's the Phoenix Mercury at the LA Sparks. And that is your rundown.
Top stories brought to you, as it is always, by our friends at Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill Shopping Center here in Columbia. Thanks to the fine folks there for feeding us great meat and 3 vegetables. When we get a chance to get out there, it's always delicious. Fresh hand-cut meats daily. Just make sure to go by their fantastic meat department, and, of course, the fresh produce, as well as all of your other grocery needs. It is your cost plus 10% option here in Columbia. Got a couple top stories that want to touch on, including the Sumner Blaine Keller Bleacher Report.
The Bleacher Report.
As it appears, Portland, Hendersonville, and White House. Is that correct?
I think Gallatin's in there. I'm not sure. There's a complete report at the Gallatin News on everything that was taken up at last night's Sumner County Board of Education meeting with regards to bleachers at various football stadiums across Sumner County.
Evidenced by poor masonry and a large amount of moss on its walls, there had been long-term presence of water and water infiltration within Shackle Island Stadium. They thought that concrete lasted forever, they said. And theoretically,
concrete does last forever. Doesn't always stay in one piece, though.
Well, and that's the thing, is because, I mean, you got the ground underneath is kind of, a part of that equation.
The ground underneath is part of that equation, and water is also part of that equation.
And so
when you get the two of them together, you can have bleachers collapsing.
At Gallatin, the biggest area of concern was Green Wave's homestands were with the exterior columns. Water infiltration corroded the flange of the columns, and rust was progressing in some areas. They recommended new home bleachers by 2024 or sandblasting to remove rust. Hendersonville, no significant cracking in the home bleachers, but water saturation on the visitor side left some sections exposed and in poor condition, so they're going to be getting about 800 seats via portable bleachers for the visitor side, and they'll replace the visitor side bleachers hopefully
over
next
the
year.
Season. Yeah.
Apparently, no issues at Liberty Creek. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah. Well, and thank goodness.
Thank goodness, because otherwise, yeah, you'd be in trouble. Water infiltration at Portland was a factor in shutting down their concrete stands. Like Hendersonville, had holes in the masonry that left openings on the other side. Their recommendation was extensive repairs or a complete bleacher replacement. See, this is kind of what Spring Hill went through recently with getting the brand new bleachers when they moved their sides. So, yeah, it looks like everything is good at Westmoreland. Everything seems to be good at Station Camp. And at White House, it appears that there is some issues with the homestands with water infiltration. Because of how it sits, a structural failure wouldn't be catastrophic on the home side, but the far right portion should be cordoned off and the visitor stands unused until repaired. So yeah, White House was a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And they moved the game to White House.
Well, because White House was the lesser of two evils.
I guess,
in that
clearly. So
yeah.
A lot of issues there, but Blaine Keller at sports_BK and at GallatinNews.com. You can find a full Bleacher Report there. And sports writers rarely take their talents to Board of Education meetings, but when they do, it's important. And this is important if you're planning on going to any high school football games in and around.
And when they do, they usually do a bang up job, and Blaine was no exception.
Yeah, did a fantastic job covering and sitting through all the other stuff you got to sit through.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully they got that out of the way quick and Blaine could get out of there. I hope that wasn't the last thing on the agenda.
Or they went to a break after that so that he could leave.
Yeah, just dip out. But Reggie Bush suing the NCAA for defamation of character, saying that he in the 2019 or 2021 article, at some point, they claimed that he was involved in a pay-for-play situation during his time at USC, and he says that is absolutely not the case. And they have defamed him, and they should reinstate all his records. For that, the Heisman Trophy can be returned.
Is this a case of Reggie Bush kicking the NCAA while they're down?
I hope so.
It's the best time to kick somebody.
Exactly.
Right? They're right there at your feet.
They're right there at your feet. Exactly. I mean, it's not any easier. It cannot be any easier. So, I mean, hey, I hope he wins, because I think that look, whether or not Reggie Bush was involved in any kind of pay for play, I don't know that he was. Don't care if he was. If he received money, he clearly did. There's evidence of his family having a house in San Diego. There's no issues with that. Obviously there were benefits to him playing at USC. None of that takes away what he did on the field. It didn't make him play better. It wasn't a performance-enhancing payment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that money didn't make him play better. He got the money because of how well he played. And so, therefore, I'm of the opinion that anything that he did while he was at USC on the field should not be a problem.
Makes sense.
And give him his darn Heisman. He deserves it. If anybody deserves a Heisman Trophy, it's Reggie Bush. Anybody. Finally, before we get out of here, Thompson Bowling Arena has a new home.
Has a new name.
Well, the arena, Thompson Bowling Arena, is still there. It just has
at Food City Center.
Right. And whatever that means.
There is a faction of University of Tennessee fans that are not happy.
Not happy.
For either A, selling the naming rights to TBA, or B, selling them at too low a cost.
Oh, what was the
20 million for 10 years, I think.
$2 million a year?
$2 million a year.
That's
folks are taking exception to that.
Okay, that's a little low.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it probably pays the salaries of.
Well, it pays for some much needed improvements to be made, apparently.
Okay. Well, I mean, if that's what they're trying to do is become cost neutral for improvements, I'm probably okay with it. And, but
there are those that feel like cost neutral is underselling it.
And I would not disagree, especially with the way the women's program is rising back and how well the men's program has been over the last 5 to 7 years. Yeah. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense that you would. I mean, it's been full.
Well, I mean, and why leave money on the table if there's more money to be had?
Well, and it's like we talked about yesterday with getting butts and seats and corporate sponsorships. You ought to be able to sell that at a premium when it's full,
right?
And it's been full. So
now that said, how often do you expect Thompson Bowling Arena at Food City Center to be the reference for that facility?
Well, again, I don't think that that's the thing. I think you're paying for the exposure for the people walking through the door, not necessarily reading about it in the paper or whatever. I just saw Citizens Financial Group. Now, this is Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. 20 years, $95 million.
Citizens Bank Park.
Now, that's 81 dates a year.
Right.
Versus
what, 25?
25 plus any concerts, which does.
That's 25 between the men and women, roughly.
And then
25, maybe 30.
Volleyball, do they play there? I don't think they do.
I don't know where volleyball.
I don't think they play there.
I don't think they do, but I'm not sure.
I mean, I don't know. It's probably underselling it to some degree. But that's just, that being said, 20 million, again, if it's cost neutral, fine. I'm not gonna get silly.
Well, and the thing is, for all of the accolades that Danny White has received during his reign as athletics director, this might be his first misstep, but at the same time, it might be one of those, maybe he's earned a little grace here if this is a misstep.
And I'm not saying that it is. I'm not saying it isn't. I mean, because obviously you and I aren't in any negotiations with, was Food City the only people they went to with this? Is this what
did Food City come to them?
Did Food City come to them? I don't know. I mean, I feel like that's where we're at. Is if you need 15, 20 million in renovations and somebody's willing to give it to you, I say you take it. And, 10 years is not a long time in the stadium naming world.
Right.
So I don't know if you go up from there. I'm sure you probably do, but who knows? It should be interesting to watch as Thompson Bowling Arena at Food City Center is.
As long as they don't sell the naming rights to the big football stadium next door, I think everything.
Yeah, I mean, if it turns into Shield Watkins Field at Neyland Stadium at Publix,
yeah.
You ever sell it? And listen, let me tell you why Tennessee fans are mad. Next guy that's about to come on can probably tell you, because what have we been calling that stadium up north for the last 10 years?
That has been pointed out as a
We've been
concern.
Making fun of these idiots, and now you go and do this?
Yep.
Now we're a great big grocery bag too? Ryan Black's going to be like, yeah. Now
and
what?
Trust us. People in Lexington have taken note.
Oh, I'm sure. I am absolutely certain that.
Like, hey, we ain't selling Rupp Arena, baby. So
That just kind of goes to show
Yeah.
which programs are which in those two instances.
Right.
Let's take a break. Ryan is with us. We'll talk a little Kentucky football on the other side. So stick around. Main Street Sports Center, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. We'll be back in just a moment.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com. Let your child play like the pros this fall season and join Titans Flag Football in their NFL Flag Football League. Titans Flag Football is no contact, easy to learn, convenient with teams meeting once per week for practices and games on Sundays. And we cannot forget it's ridiculously fun. Teams are co-ed with ages from pre-K through 8th grade in select locations across Middle Tennessee. Visit TitansFlagFootball.com and sign up before registration closes on September 4th. Let's play together and win together this fall season with Titans Flag Football.
Y'all, I'm serious right now. They have a dragon here. I saw it. But no, they don't. There's no such thing as dragons. I swear, I saw it. It had huge claws. Get out of here. It had eyes as big as the moon. Come on, I'll show you. Wait up. Do you hear that? We're almost there. Whoa! I told you so. That is a dragon.
Tired of hanging lights every year? We get it. That's why Southern Nights is here to help. We install programmable lighting on your home or business so you can enjoy beautiful, customizable lighting all year round. No more ladders, tangled lights, or cold nights outside. We do the work, you do the celebrating. Call Southern Nights today and take the hassle out of holiday lighting forever. For a free quote, give us a call at 931-241-3074 or visit our Facebook page at Southern Nights.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao and Mo Patton here on this Wild and Wacky Wednesday, and what a wild and wacky Wednesday it has been, in fact. Glad to have you guys with us, though, as we get ready for a fun and exciting end to the show. We've got Kentucky next on the list. We've had Vanderbilt already today. We double up today with Kentucky as we have Ryan Black joining us from the Louisville Courier-Journal. Didn't get a chance to get to him yesterday thanks to some scheduling conflicts. So we're glad to have you today, Ryan. Thanks for taking time with us, man.
Well, thank you, fellas, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Justin, we can't hear him. And I don't know if that's a problem on our end or what. And, of course, he's gone.
Ryan, hang in there.
Yeah, we can't hear the commercials or Ryan, and I don't know what the problem is there.
Interesting.
And that's clearly an issue. Nothing has changed since Heather, so I don't know what the problem is there.
Go ahead, Ryan.
That is not good
news. Can you guys hear me okay now?
Because I can hear Ryan fine.
Okay.
Hold on. I don't know if they can. Sorry about this.
Apologize here. All right. Man,
Hang with us, Ryan. Because he can hear us.
Yeah, he can hear us, and Justin can hear him. So it's clearly on our end, and I don't know what the end of that is.
Can you hear me now? Hello? Nope. Let's see.
Justin, are we?
Can you hear me?
It's echoing, but yeah, wasn't everybody's echoing.
Is that better or worse?
Hang on.
Oh, you're on mute. That's what it is. Just mute your computer. There we go.
Nice.
We can hear you now, Justin. Can we hear Ryan?
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear everybody we're supposed to hear now. That's awesome.
Perfect.
Ryan, you have no idea. Today has been it has been the day of all days.
This has been the Monday-est Wednesday we've ever had, I do believe. Ryan Black of the Louisville Courier-Journal joining us here on Main Street Sports today as we continue our college football previews with a visit to talk about Kentucky football. Ryan, first of all, what has the reaction up that way been to Thompson Bowling Arena at Food City Center? Have you heard anything along those lines, given the grief y'all have gotten about Kroger Field?
Well, guys, I've only been covering Kentucky since last October, but I can tell you that certainly as soon as that news came out today, there were a lot of people, at least who are Kentucky fans, people who on the Kentucky beat, were saying we're going to be pulling receipts from, Tennessee fans who years ago were joking about, well, at least our field isn't named after a grocery store chain or something. And so I do know that it's just another one of those little kind of, back and forth that rival fan bases have had. So I know at least Kentucky fans are getting a kick out of that today. I don't know. I haven't seen what the reaction is on the Tennessee side, though.
It's that.
Yeah, they are mindful of that.
We're expecting that and then not happy about it.
Yes.
Well, I would say, at least, being a NASCAR fan, Food City has that long-standing history with sponsoring like Bristol. So, I mean, there is at least a history in the state of, Food City sponsoring things.
Yeah. I don't think UT fans are taking that as any consolation.
Consolation?
Yeah. Ryan, we saw Kentucky's last game down here at the Music City Bowl against Iowa. Destin Wade went most of the way at quarterback for the Wildcats in that ball game. It was his first collegiate football playing experience, not just his first start. And it went about the way you would expect a first collegiate football playing experience to go.
Especially defense like that.
Particularly against a defense like ours. How much has Devin Leary distanced himself from Destin in the quarterback situation at Kentucky?
Well, I mean, there's no question that Devin Leary will be the starter, all season, provided he stays healthy. Wade is in there battling with Kaya Sharon for the number 2 job. I think right now, if the season opener was tonight, tomorrow, Wade would be number 3 on the depth chart. But, guys, when you bring in a quarterback like Devin Leary, who is a grad transfer, he's not coming in to sit on the bench. He's not coming in to learn behind other guys. So unless something had gone horribly wrong after he transferred here in the spring, Leary was always going to be the starter. And again, at least with, Sharon got the start last year versus South Carolina when Will Levis was hurt. And as you mentioned, Wade got the start there in the bowl game. And I'm glad that you pointed out just about the fact that, hey, that was not just any defense that he had to face. I mean, Iowa year in and year out fields an incredibly good defense. So, good news for Wade is he's still very young and he's not being asked to do a lot right now. But the problem for him will be next year. Cutter Boley is scheduled to arrive next January, and he's a guy who would want to come in and play immediately. I don't know how likely that is, but it'll be interesting to see kind of how Wade's career goes from here.
Yes, it will, because I'm curious how much of an impact, obviously his brother on the other side, potentially getting playing time will have an impact on where he ends up or how long he stays in Kentucky. Who knows? It's going to be interesting to watch that particular dynamic.
Yeah. Away from quarterback, and like you said, Leary coming in from NC State as a grad transfer, tough to think that he's not going to be the guy. But what is Kentucky looking at doing around him, this time offensively?
Well, I mean, I'm sure you guys are very familiar with Ray Davis, the former Vandy running back. He came in kind of just like with Leary, right? He's a grad transfer. He's a guy that was expected to come in and be the starter. I expect him to be the primary ball carrier, but I don't, based off everything that we've heard and seen at some of the open practice stuff, I don't expect him to get, 300 carries this season. I mean, they've got a pretty deep backfield behind him. Demi Sumo Carnbine, who's also a former NC State transfer, he's going to come in and get some carries. Ramon Jefferson, who's been injured, he's gonna get some play as well. Jaton McClain, they've got a pretty deep backfield. Even Jamarian Wilcox, who's a true freshman, they might use him in some special packages to take advantage of his speed and elusiveness. But really, with Kentucky's offense, I mean, it really begins and ends with the receivers in terms of Barry and Brown, who I know you guys have to be very familiar with. Dane Key, Tavian Robinson, who didn't have the season he wanted to after transferring in last season from Virginia Tech. And then Anthony Brown is a guy who's gotten a lot of publicity as well in terms of coaches are expecting a lot from him this fall. And then they've got 5 tight ends who are expected to be able to basically work in interchangeably. Guys, I would tell you that really the biggest question for Kentucky is offensive line, because I mean they were as bad as any offensive line in the country last season. Gave up more sacks than any Power 5 team, and Kentucky ranked last in the SEC in points and yards per game. They brought in 4 transfers. A couple of them are expected to start. But yeah, if they don't have that solved, it doesn't really matter how good the playmakers are if you can't protect the quarterback and open up holes for the running backs.
That's the truth. I'm just
all starts up front.
Titans fans know. So that was kind of where I was going to go. But, but you did mention that tight end group with Jordan Dingle, Josh Caddis. Are those I know you said they're all interchangeable, but those two are pretty solid returners.
Oh yeah, I mean I would. Again, they've got 5 guys who I think definitely all will play, and offensive coordinator Liam Cohen has said as long as they're all healthy, we will find ways to get all in the game. But if you ask me which of that group who will get the most reps by the end of the season, if they stay healthy, it would be the 2 guys you mentioned. I think it'll be Dingle and Caddis because they're both fantastic players.
Now, speaking of Liam Cohen, how important is it to get him back from Los Angeles?
Well, I think there are many people around, Kentucky's program as well as just the fan base who would say that he's as important addition as anyone because even though Rich Scangarello came from that same coaching tree, it just did not work out last season. And again, the numbers I already mentioned kind of bear that out when you look at, ranking last in the 14-team SEC in points and yards per game. And certainly part of the reason Cohen came back is they're hoping that they can kind of bring back some of the magic from that 2021 season where they were, one of the better offenses in all the SEC. And he, he is a small town guy, from the Northeast. And I think he's kind of alluded to, he got that taste of LA, but I think he kind of likes the speed of Lexington and college coaching more than the pros.
No, obviously with Cohen, with Leary, with that receiving core, including former Pro Cone standout Barry and Brown, offense gets a lot of attention at Kentucky. We had a chance to talk a little bit with J.J. Weaver at SEC Football Media Days. It seems he's going to be healthy this time around, which really bodes well for the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and guys, I'm glad you brought that up because I think it's kind of odd to me that given year in and year out how good Kentucky's defense has been, that their coordinator Brad White doesn't seem to get more national attention. Because to me, Kentucky historically having been such a a tough place to win at. And given that defense has kind of led them during this kind of bowl run, it has surprised me that he just has not gotten more, just not just national attention media wise, but also just when you hear about maybe the coordinators who are going to make the next step to go take over, their own program. And so, like you're alluding to, offense has to take steps, to get, Kentucky where they want to be. But, the defense can't take any steps back either. And, they're replacing 3 of the 4 starters in the secondary and a couple of linebackers. But as you said, with Weaver being healthy and Deion Walker is their best NFL draft prospect, I think the defense will be very good again this fall.
With this defense last year, the defensive line almost as little impact as the offensive line had on the other side. Almost all of their sacks came from the linebacker position. What does it look like on the defensive line? And are they going to take any strides with Keyshawn Silver, Josiah Haynes coming in?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought up Keyshawn Silver, because I would say more than any defensive player during the spring, he got a lot of positive feedback from the coaching staff in terms of what they expect him to be able. And I'm sorry if you guys hear something in the background. That's my cat playing with one of his toys. If he would stop doing that. I should have put him in the bedroom and locked him in there. Sorry about that. But anyway, just saying that Keyshawn Silver transfer from North Carolina, he is a guy that the first day of spring practice that we got taught to Mark Stoops, he just praised how much of a difference he thinks Silver can make this fall. So I think he's such a massive body, and putting him beside Deion Walker, they're both going to take up a lot of space this fall.
Speaking with Ryan Black here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Talk about the secondary. Jordan Lovett is back, finished 3rd on the team in tackles last year, and got a transfer in John Queese Hardaway, I guess.
Yeah, they call him JQ. That's probably an easier way to
probably
pronounce
a good call.
it.
Probably a good call.
Yeah.
Like that.
Makes it easier for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah. Certainly for me, because I was like, I don't know. But yeah, what do you make of this secondary?
Well, I think I think you brought up Jordan Lovett. He is the one guy who I was referring to as a returning starter. I think personally, Zion Childress is the guy I expect to make a huge jump this fall, because he's someone who still is getting his bearings kind of in terms of reps and stuff, but I think he has got a ton of potential. I think you look elsewhere. I mean, another transfer they brought in along with JQ, who you brought up, is Jansen Dunn. Andrew Phillips is going to get playing time. I mean, it's a room, and I wrote this earlier this week. It's a room that has a lot of talent. It's just not very experienced, and I think that's maybe a godsend for Kentucky, is that they're kind of easing into the schedule, so to speak. I think if they had a much tougher start to the season, given how unproven the secondary is right now, that could potentially be an issue. But I think by the middle of the season, I think the secondary, will be potentially a strength of the defense, honestly.
It's interesting that you mentioned that schedule and easing into it, because their first 3 games all at home against Ball State, Eastern Kentucky, and Akron before they open SEC play at Vanderbilt on September 23rd. So, that's pretty cushy.
Not exactly a murderer's row to open the season.
Does not really threaten you a whole lot, but I think Vanderbilt can be a interesting ball game. Obviously, Florida as well the following week back at Kroger Field, and then it gets really tough with Georgia. So got to really make hay in those first 3 games and figure out a lot, I think, before SEC play starts.
Yeah, and certainly I don't ever want, and I know you guys had Vandy's coach on earlier. I know Kentucky their fan base feels as if, they've kind of put Vandy in the background. They've kind of ascended another level in the SEC. But hey, I mean, look at what happened last season. And I think it just goes to show that, you You got to bring it every single game, or you're liable to get tripped up. Now, granted, I know Vandy had the extremely long SEC losing streak heading into that game, but they'd had a lot of close losses during that streak too. And I know, when Florida comes to town, even after the long losing streak Kentucky had them for 3 decades, that's a game Kentucky is expected to win too. So I would put it to you this way. If Kentucky is not 5-0 after the first 5 games heading into that game at Georgia begin October, the fan base will be very upset, especially, as you noted, how difficult the second half of the schedule is by comparison.
Yeah, that second half, beginning with that trip to Georgia, followed with Missouri coming to town, and then Tennessee, Mississippi State, Alabama at home, at South Carolina, and non-conference cross-state rivalry at Louisville. So being 5-0 is almost vital to get started for Kentucky.
Yeah. No, and I think certainly. Again, it's another game the fan base now expects to win, given they've won 4 straight against Louisville. But there's no question, given Braun being there now, that's a game that Louisville has had probably circled since the moment he got hired, and so that is not anywhere close to a gimme game, despite how maybe some people in Kentucky's fan base feels, considering how lopsided guys. That's the other thing. It's not they've just won these games the past few years. I mean, they have won in dominant fashion in most of those games. So it's also, I think it's always dangerous whenever you just put any game down as a guarantee win, especially when it's, your in-state rival who is itching to get back on the right side of that scoreboard.
Ryan Black with us here on Main Street Sports today. Ryan, if you had to point to one game that's the most pivotal on this schedule, which one would it be?
Pivotal in that it would maybe shape the whole season, or pivotal in that it's the one that the fan base is most eager to maybe win?
Shaping the season. Yeah. Because here's the thing. If they win 9-10 games, they're not going to care if they lose to Louisville. I mean, they're going to care, but it's going to be a lot less of an impact than if they go 7-5.
Goodness, this is a tough question, guys, because obviously, like you said, I think, as much as they would love to upset Georgia, as every team would, that's not a game that Kentucky would be expected to win. Kentucky probably should beat Missouri, especially given it's at home. Tennessee, Kentucky's been a better program over the last, since 2016, but it has not mattered when they play Tennessee. And I think that's a game that maybe Kentucky fans hope they steal. I guess the game, guys, since I've been here, that it just seems to have taken on such an incredible intensity between the fan bases, and I constantly see them sniping back and forth on Twitter. I think if they don't win the South Carolina game, that's the game the fan base is going to, because they just feel like that, after, whether you believe it or not, that Stoops took a shot at Beamer last year at SEC Media Days, and now they're going to bring in the Darude guy who's the Sandstorm person. He's going to be playing a concert before the Kentucky game. It just seems like in the minds of South Carolina and their program that Kentucky, is a team they can't afford to lose to. And it certainly, like I said, if you go on, any kind of social media platform, that just seems to be the game that Kentucky fans feel like we cannot afford to lose this, because we expect to win Louisville. And while we would love to beat Tennessee, that's just always a tough game. So I think, that South Carolina game is the game that if they don't win that, that's the one that's going to hurt, the fan base, going into the off season.
There you go. Ryan Black at Ryan A. Black on Twitter. Make sure to go give him a follow and follow his work in the Louisville Courier Journal. We appreciate you taking time with us today, man. And we look forward to talking a little bit more throughout the year, potentially.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks again for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Hey, and Ryan, don't be too worried about the cat. I've got 3, and they all just do what they want to do. So we get that. Don't worry about it.
We understand.
Yeah, he just going crazy in the background. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, he's just being a cat, man.
It's a wild and wacky Wednesday.
It's a wildcat.
It's a wildcat. Yes, there you go.
Going wild here on Wild and Wacky Wednesday. Thanks, man.
Thanks again.
Oh, yeah, it's Wild and Wacky Wednesday indeed. And you have cats, I have toddlers. They're the same thing. I mean, seriously, that's the way it feels like sometimes. So, all right. Let's get into a little wild and wacky news. Here's some news. On your way down, and a new field has been. Mid-August,
late August,
and hit a house in Massachusetts, damaging the roof of the home. Jeff Ilg and his wife, Amelia Rainville, suspect the ice fell off an airplane.
Okay.
Now, neither of the two or their children were hurt with the ice chunk, but he estimated them to be 15 to 20 pounds. We heard an explosion, basically. The loudest pop bang I've ever heard. Seems like no hyperbole, I guess. I don't know. Initially, I thought the house was struck by lightning.
Depending on how far the ice fell from it.
15, 20. No, seriously, this is why it's a new fear. Clear day. No
Walking
hell in
around
sight.
minding your own business.
Minding your own business, and boom!
15, 20 pounds of ice. Just falling from
30,000 feet, potentially.
I mean, I did not take physics because it scared me, but I can't imagine the mass and the acceleration of 20 pounds falling from 30,000 feet.
You would have excelled at physics. No. And let me tell you, I did not get the super high school degree, so I wasn't forced to take physics. But I asked the counselor, I said, can I take physics over anatomy, because I don't care about anatomy and I didn't like the teacher, to be honest. And she said, well, it's your GPA. I made a 97. She had much confidence, huh?
Well,
I had aced Algebra 2. I aced Algebra 2 Trig. And so I thought physics can't be much harder than that. And it's just math.
Yeah.
You would have excelled at physics, that's all I'm saying. But yes.
It's your GPA.
That's what she said. And I got a 98 in the class.
So you didn't like her very much after that either, did you?
I was like, yeah, now what? I literally, like, the anatomy teacher was also the biology teacher, and there was a lot of coloring involved. And I had zero interest in using color pencils as a senior in high school. So there's that.
But, again, 15 to 20 pounds from 30,000 feet.
It's a lot. Yeah. It's fast. And it's hard.
So that's a valid fear.
Absolutely a valid fear. And that's why, again, new fear unlocked. More than 200 people ran down a Washington State racetrack at the Emerald Downs in Auburn, Washington, not too long ago. But it wasn't any race, Mo. No, it was the 2023 T-Rex World Championships. They all were wearing those blow-up T-Rex costumes. An event that started in 2017 as a pest control company's team-building activity ended in a photo finish Sunday with 3 competitors hitting the finish line together. It was a tie.
It's tough to look athletic in one of those outfits. If you have any athleticism at all, it's going to be lost in the T-Rex inflatable.
One would think, yes. Yeah. No question. Hey, did you happen to see the Chattanooga NBC affiliate WRCB going viral this week? As anchor Cornelia Nicholson thought she was recording promos, and it turned out that her boyfriend was actually proposing.
No.
And coming up right now, we have the story of 2 young journalists who just so happened to find love in the same industry she read before breaking into a huge cautious grin. Local 3's Riley Nagel joins us in studio for a special report. And he goes into it, man. And I mean, just absolutely phenomenal job. Listen, as far as proposals go, that's pretty good. Especially, I mean, she thinks she's recording promos. Next thing you know, she's getting proposed to on the air. And thank goodness she said yes. So of course,
that's what I was going to ask.
It was
Did she
recording. It
accept?
wasn't,
Yes.
But yes, she did say yes, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. So she told the New York Post she knew a proposal was coming, but had no idea it would be in the TV studio. He was a nervous wreck. His hands were shaking. I've never seen him that nervous ever. She posted pictures, post-proposal on Facebook, and then another post on Instagram, of course. And she said, watching it back, it's so cute, but wow, I can't believe you really did that. That's crazy. So, well done, dude. Well done. And a story I mentioned to you earlier, as we were talking with Lou at the state, I got a chance to look through some of their other stuff, I guess, and came across a story that just didn't make any sense to me. I'm just going to be honest with you. It was silly and crazy, and yet here we are. All right. An inmate at Lexington County's detention center was bitten by a snake, which, okay, bit by a snake. No, not just any snake. The snake was being kept as an unauthorized pet. Can you have unauthorized pets?
The snake was being kept as an unauthorized pet. Did the snake bite the person that was unauthorized to keep it, or did the snake bite somebody else?
Well, that's a good question, because at that point, is it a weapon? It's now contraband.
There we go.
The female inmate had been bitten by the common rat snake sometime last week, which was first reported by WLTX. Officials in the sheriff's department, which oversee the jail, confirmed the non-venomous snake was being kept as a pet of sorts inside the female pod. She suffered a minor injury and was treated on site by the medical staff. The owner of the snakes are unknown. Myrick described the victim as one of the most enthusiastic handlers. So yes, it appears to be that it was her snake. I just, oh man. That's an unauthorized pet implies that there could be authorized pets. And so now I'm just curious, if you can get a cat into the Lexington County Detention Center in South Carolina.
I have so many questions.
Well, I don't have any answers.
Yeah.
I'm just here to tell you, I don't have any answers. So, oh man, that's going to do it for this Wild and Wacky Wednesday. And thank God we are.
Yeah, we pretty much need this day, or certainly this show, to be over with. But we do want to mention before we get out of here, former Tennessee Titans receiver Corey Davis, who has been with the Jets for the last 3 years of his 6-year career, announced his retirement on Instagram earlier today. Yeah.
Wow.
So I think he was expected to be cut, and some folks had even mentioned him as a potential Titan. Won't be a Titan.
Taking it to the house.
Taking it to the house. For some time now, I've been contemplating stepping away from the sport of football. Have more blessings than I could ever imagine. Truly grateful for all the opportunities I've had and will continue to have. Thank you to my family and friends and the Jets organization for supporting me through this process. So, Corey Davis, former #1 selection in 2013.
Yep.
Taking it to the house. 5th overall. I'm sorry, in 2017. Yeah.
Well, congrats to him on a solid career.
Solid if short.
Certainly could have used him, but take it to the house if you want to, and we won't hold that against you. So come back tomorrow. It's going to be Prep Thursday. We've got picks, we've got Coach's Corner, and we've got a ton more. So we look forward to seeing you guys there on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Y'all have a good one.